if somebody's basically told you that there is something wrong with you, that you can't focus, that you can't pay attention, that you should start to look at things in this way and you should be more organized and all of these different things, well, guess what? Statistically, there is probably nothing wrong with you. Hi, this is the Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked as one of the world's top 10 thought leaders in organizational culture and leadership. And welcome to Where's Your Brain? Today we are going to be talking about why normal is ADHD. Now, of course, we know that doctors and all these different people say that ADHD really exists. It does. However, those doctors that kind of talk to you and say, oh, you have ADHD, so let me give you some drugs, that's not the right way to do it. Why? Because the only way to determine if you have ADHD is with a genetic assessment. That means they actually have to take your blood, they have to send it off to the lab, and the lab has to come back to say that you have these specific gene alleles that are the ADHD alleles for different elements. Now, that's not what usually happens though, because sometimes you explain some symptoms and everything else, and well, the doctors don't want to make you feel like you went to the doctor for no reason. So they just say, oh, that must mean you have ADHD. Here, try some drugs. And so they do that and whatever, or maybe they just say, well, you don't have to try the drugs. Whatever, depends on, how the doctor deals with things. But here are some of the symptoms of what people with supposed ADHD have. So let's kind of look at that. First of all, okay, you are very creative. Like literally you create something from nothing. Okay? And of course, you are fast to recover. So, you're not really the kind of person that's holding grudges. So you get over stuff easy. You recover from mistakes very easily. In fact, even though people with this kind of process definitely make more mistakes than anybody else, they also end up recovering faster from mistakes than anybody else, which also means that they are able to sometimes even come up with better solutions than the original idea and recover so fast from mistakes that nobody even knew they made a mistake. So, what else are the symptoms? Well, first of all, they are acting quickly. They're thinking on their feet. It's like, oh, hey, here's an idea, or hey, let's try this, or here's a problem. It's like, okay, let's do this. Okay, so they're thinking on their feet, they're moving quickly, and of course, they only need a little bit of information in order to take action. So these are the symptoms. Okay, so why is this? Well, because this kind of process requires action to get clarity. You know what clarity is, right? So you need to get clarity. You need to find out what things actually work. Unfortunately, other people basically blame you for it. They think, oh, that's bad. Okay, you're bad because you're not focused. Okay, you're not over here. And so, well, it's like, why do they think it's bad? Well, basically, you're kind of like working on something and suddenly it's like, squirrel! Okay, it's like, oh, here's another information, squirrel! Okay, and you've got like these different distractions. And these different distractions basically means that you have multiple focuses. Why? Well, because, you are looking at a little bit of information and suddenly that gives you a bigger idea. And then you've got another big idea, and you've got another big idea, and sometimes, depending on how disciplined you are, that could essentially create a situation where you've got a lot of projects, but you don't finish anything. So, with multiple focus, this is a product of what is called the chaotic processing ambiguity relief process. So ambiguity relief is the scientific term that is a genetic foundation of how your brain processes information. So why is normal ADHD? Well, basically you're looking at 34.7% of the global population, according to our research, shows that they have this chaotic processing. That's 34.7%, have chaotic processing. So that's a pretty large percentage of the world population, Okay, so it is pretty normal, at least for them. But there leaves 65.3 of the other people who have different processors. So this is where sometimes the misunderstandings, the miscommunications, all of the people blaming you for not focusing, for not being able to do this, for not being able to kind of just honed in and get clarity before you take action and all of these different things, okay, that people are basically blaming you for. And so let's find out how awesome those other brain processors are, right? First of all, we know that chaotic processing has similar elements or characteristics of ADHD, and in fact, the extreme is ADHD. But let's look at the extreme of some of the other brain processors. So for example, a linear processor has an extreme version of OCD. So somebody with a linear processor may exhibit characteristics of OCD. And of course, relational processing. Okay, everything is kind of connected and they need lots of details, and this is very similar to Asperger's. So some people that have relational processors may have elements of or characteristics of Asperger. And of course, there are the intuitive processors, which may have characteristics of depression. So, what is the real lesson here? Do not be a brain racist. If you think you have ADHD, probably the chances are you don't, and you are normal. So, okay, why don't you actually look at all of the really cool things that you can do with your chaotic brain process, like come up with cool stuff, take action, be super creative from nothing, solve mistakes on a dime, and basically do stuff really fast, okay? And of course, do respect the other brain color. So if you are not a chaotic processor, look at the people that do not need lots of information before they act. In fact, they need to act in order to get clarity, and respect their process, their ability to get clarity. And of course, if you are one of these chaotic processors, think about how you can work together with the other people using their talents and vice versa. This is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success. Oh, wait, but if you want to find out your own brain processor, you should also go to coloredbrain.com. Check it out, and there's some free videos and training there as well to learn about the different brain processors. Now, this is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.